Today is February 24th, 2023, and I just got back from hyperbaric oxygen therapy recently, and it's something I go to every day. I've gone for about 5 or 6 weeks now in total, and a lot of people ask me what hyperbaric oxygen therapy is. So I figured I would use this to explain it. So if anyone's a fan of Dragon Ball Z, they've seen the little chamber thing that Goku or whoever will sit in after a big fight, and they have the mask on and they're using it to heal their wounds really quickly. In a way, it's kind of like that. So what I do is I go into this room, and it's a big, massive room. There's usually 4 or 5 other people that will be in there, and they seal off the room, and it gets pressurized. So it's like you're diving 60 feet below sea level. They can do it to different levels, but I think that's around where they take me usually. And so the pressure there is about 3 times the normal atmospheric pressure at sea level. And so what this does is, and then what you do is you breathe pure oxygen while you're in there. So you wear an oxygen mask and you're breathing pure oxygen. And the pressure takes that oxygen and forces it into tissues that aren't receiving oxygen, and it helps create new blood vessels, and it forces oxygen into these places that aren't getting it. It gets it deeper into the tissue and delivers more of it, and that promotes healing. So for me, in my current situation, the reason I have a wound is because I was sitting too long on the spot, and it cut off the blood flow, which cuts off the oxygen, and when the tissue doesn't have oxygen, the tissue dies. So hyperbaric oxygen is kind of the reverse of that process. Instead of cutting off blood flow and cutting off oxygen from getting to the tissue, it actually forces more of it into those blood vessels and into the tissues. At least that's my understanding of it. And so that actually promotes healing, and especially with wounds that aren't healing like mine was, and things like that. A lot of diabetics with wounds on their feet, stuff like that, burn victims. It really helps things heal a lot faster and a lot stronger, and it's really amazing what it can be used for. My dad actually had a stroke, and he lost vision in his eye, and the doctors told him he would never see out of that eye again. And he went through hyperbaric oxygen and regained his vision even better than it was before. So it has a lot of uses. It's very powerful stuff. It's used a lot for smoke inhalation, or divers who get the bends from changing depth too quickly, stuff like that. And a lot of people ask me, what does it feel like to go through hyperbaric oxygen? Honestly, it pretty much just feels like you're sitting in a normal room, with the exception of when you're diving to the different level, you're not actually moving anywhere. It's just the pressure is creating that effect. So when you're diving down, your ears start to pop, and you have to clear them. Otherwise, you can burst an eardrum or something like that, but normally you can clear them pretty easily. So you just have to do that, which is kind of annoying, but it only lasts about 10 minutes. and then you get down to once you're down at the depth you're going to stay at, nothing happens at that point. I sit there for about an hour and a half after that, and then I put on the oxygen mask, breathe pure oxygen, and then I have to be brought up again, and again you're popping your ears, so they're not painful or whatever, and won't damage your ears, but it's less so on the way up. And it also gets very hot in there because the air molecules are more densely packed together, so they're rubbing up against each other and bumping into each other, and that creates heat. So it can get pretty hot in the oxygen chamber. And one other funny aspect to it is that it like changes your voice a little bit. It almost sounds kind of chipmunky, not to that degree, but there's like, you kind of sound nasally and funny in there, and it's kind of like that. It's just weird, weird side effect. But other than that, what else could I say about it? Because of the higher pressure and the pure oxygen being pumped in, there's a big fire hazard in there. So they're very strict about what you can bring into the chamber. So no electronics. You have to wear like special cotton clothing, which is like scrubs or a gown, but just made out of different material. And you can bring a book in. They usually play a movie on a TV that's been specially set up to work in that environment. But they're very strict about it because there's a high risk of fire. And you can't just take people out either because you're down and it's pressurized. You have to slowly release the pressure. So it's dangerous if that happens. Things light on fire easier. But that's about it for the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I go there 5 days a week for about 2 hours. Right now I have to have an ambulance pick me up and take me, and because I can't sit in my chair. So it's a lot of commitment. It's a big time commitment. Takes a lot to get there, but it's very powerful stuff. It definitely helps with healing of wounds, especially, and so I'm grateful I'm able to do that, because hopefully it will help the surgery I had to be successful and help me get back in the chair quicker. So that's my explanation of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. If you have questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you another day. Peace.